Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Discovery. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, a.k.a. Caliban, and if you look in the Star Trek Encyclopedia, you'll find BARF right next to Booleans, I guess, both B's. Joining me on the show as usual is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you.
Yay! Take two.
Woo!
Yeah, you just burn one, you feel good, and then you get right into it.
Get it out, get confident, start over.
We're still learning or relearning how to do the show after it being so long, but that's good. It gives me confidence to know that failure is 100% okay. Just put a piano falling crash sound in here. And moving on, let's try to, we don't have to do the whole thing, but let's try to recap just a little bit the discussion that we had that nobody heard your side of Star Trek. Sure. Destination Star Trek in Birmingham this year. We were talking about the Destination Star Trek Con taking place in late October of this year. You, of course, went last year and had a great time talking to a lot of amazing guests. And the guests...
Fantastic time.
The guests, they are coming to... there's a lot more of them this year. And I noticed, I was looking at the website, and there are many people who are connected to some of the new shows. But it's just like, why would I know that, you know, if he's in town, I guess Captain Picard, Patrick Stewart probably isn't too far away, but why would he come? Right. But yet, you know, Patrick Stewart's going to be there. Anson Mount, I believe Ethan Peck is going to be there. As well as, you know, the usual sort of bouquet of former series stars and some people from the movies too. Alan Ruck is going to be there.
Oh my God, I know.
Captain Cameron.
We just watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, me and my roommate. Yeah. And I was just like, there he goes.
Yeah, Michelle Forbes is going to be there, which is really cool. There's also going to be a handful of Kelvin Universe movie people there who, and I'm not, you know, if they have amazing storied careers that it's my fault for not knowing about, then I feel bad. But I'm just going to call him Big Eyes is going to be there. Yep. And Lizard Face Tan Mom is going to be there. And yeah, that's exciting. And then Alice Eve is going to be there, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, she's like the biggest Calvin star I've seen at a con in like a while. Yeah.
I mean, outside of our beloved Star Trek stars, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, Conor Trenier will be there as well, which is really cool. And Anthony Montgomery will be there, too.
Yeah, they have... I'm surprised how many people are, like, flying to England.
Yeah.
Like J.G. Hertzler.
Yeah, right.
Who I met when I was like 15.
Oh, really? How'd that go?
It was great. I was so... what did he say to us? It was me and my friend. We were just so tiny. I think he made some joke about us just being little. That was... I think Marina Sirtis was there that year, too. And she was like, babies!
That's neat. I wish she was going to be there, but maybe some other year.
No, she's my hair.
Yeah. Una McCormick and James Swallow, Trek novelists and friends of the show, will be there as well, which I guess is convenient for them. No plane ticket for them.
No, quick train ride.
Yeah, right.
Well, to them, maybe it's a long train ride. England.
Right. It's
everyone else.
It's all relative. Quick. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump right into our subject for this week. We're talking about the second in a new series of short films set in the universe of Star Trek Discovery. They're short treks, and we're talking about The Trouble with Edward this week. Before we start, as always, we're setting a course for the spoiler zone, so be warned. We're glad you've decided to join us. But if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for The Trouble with Edward is, newly minted Captain Lynn Lucero is excited to take command of the USS Cabot, that is, until she meets Edward Larkin, an ornery scientist who believes he has found a revolutionary new use for tribbles. The episode is written by Graham Wagner, who's a producer and writer, and he's been a producer on The American Office, Baskets, Portlandia, and Silicon Valley. He's also been a writer for those series, primarily for Portlandia. He's helped write over 50 episodes. It's directed by Daniel Gray Longino, who is an editor and director, having directed on series like Tim and Eric, John Benjamin Has a Van, Kroll Show, and Portlandia. And there is no, there is a star date given for this episode. It is 1421.9. And what'd you think? What did you think about The Trouble with Edward?
I definitely liked it better than last week.
Okay.
I had fun watching it. Thought it was super cute. Obviously, now I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who plays Edward,
H. John Benjamin.
Yes, who's also in Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
He's fantastic. Love him. And actually, the woman that plays the captain, Rosa Salazar, stars in this crazy Amazon show called Undone. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So she's fantastic. It still feels a little bit like they're writing, like they want to let's have a funny Tribble episode, and then they write it to make something happen instead of just like writing short treks to be cool short treks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
A little bit.
Well, I know. I think I'm struggling kind of with my own feelings about it. But I mean, I believe that you're saying that it's not like they looked at the setting and found some unanswered question or some problem germane to what they've got. They instead went, we've got John Benjamin, we've got the guy from Bob's Burgers, and we've got Tribbles, mm-hmm. and do you want short treks? Mm-hmm. That's how you get short treks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the what gets me about this whole thing is I still don't. Okay, so I've got like little picks, but I've got like the big talk about like the future of the franchise and all that, and I want to start mm-hmm. with that. I don't understand, or I don't know where we're going vis-a-vis tone in a lot of these short treks, and
idea.
I don't think it's any. I mean, the people. I've read every week. I read the resumes of these people. They're talented mm-hmm. people, but mm-hmm. they come from such disparate backgrounds, and there is no guy like Gene Roddenberry or Rick Berman jamming it all mm-hmm. into a Star Trek box. And so you've got the guys. If you hire, do you want a Portlandia episode? You get the guys from Portlandia, right? And so it feels like these Portlandia gags and the tone, the tone is like The Office and not Star Trek. And you could totally do The Office in Star Trek, but I still, that feeling of that thing, that snuggie that you put on when you're watching a Star Trek show isn't there. I'm not saying what you get is unpleasant, but it doesn't feel like Star Trek. And I hesitantly say that because people have used that negatively. But I don't... Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to get used to, maybe this is the future of Star Trek. It's just you are spinning a dial and you're going to get some interesting characters and some interesting premise and it's going to feel different every time. But, barf, guy says barf before that I mentioned. That's fine. But I miss the sort of weird distancing effect you got with somebody like William Shatner, who is the most, American, I know he's Canadian, but like 60s man you can get. But yet they're like, we don't need any of your wars, mister. And there's that sort of remove where they're these weird future humans. Mm-hmm. In Discovery and even, the Kelvin use going forward, everybody's like, give me some ketchup with those fries. And it's like they're just 21st century people in jumpsuits. And I miss the kind of alien sort of feeling of the future from before. But maybe that's not going to resonate with young audiences today. They have to get rid of that, jettison that.
Well, do you think it's because that future feels a little bit less like farther away?
Yeah, but
everyone, like audiences are like fluent with the concept of spaceships and sci-fi, but we're also like fully aware of like, NASA technology or like something.
I guess. I mean, we were stuck into that, I think, when we had 2 TV shows on the air in the 90s when the Earth was supposed to be ravaged by the eugenics wars. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Star Trek at this point, or at least in its past, has committed to a archaic view of the future, an old mm-hmm. style view of the future. It would be like if, and I don't think everyone should do this, but they doubled down on silver rocket ships and moon men and bubble helmets.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And so
definitely.
I think with it started with the Kelvin, but with the new iteration of this universe or the new properties in it, they're trying to give us a slick iPhone app-based, future. And I totally understand it, but it has been a transitional period for me to ease myself into this new future. And I think that 9 out of 10 sci-fi franchises that you get that are created now will be like this. What I think Trek loses in trying to be more like them is it loses that identity that it had built up over 50 years.
Yeah.
I quit.
No, yeah, I mean...
No, I'm just kidding.
You're absolutely right. I wonder if, especially with these short treks, I wonder if they're sort of like letting us dip our toe into like Trek comedy before stuff like Lower Decks drops.
Yeah.
So it's not like a complete like polar plunge.
Yeah. Well, this felt to me like it could have been a Lower Decks. It's
yeah.
Not, yeah. I mean, it's not like if we encountered Tribbles for the first time, again, because I thought it was the Enterprise, but whatever, and you were unprepared. Yeah, I feel like Tribbles could probably take over a ship or something like that.
But also, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is there something in the Prime Directive that says you can't just start beaming alien like animals off your ship if your ship and your crew is in danger?
See, now I was thinking about that. That's a good point. But I kind of liked that they didn't want to kill the things.
Yeah.
No, they were not. We always talk about how like the Enterprise is the flagship. Those are the best of the best. There's a lot of like dopey other Starfleet people that they always show up and those guys are dead, but they're not going to die because they're the Enterprise, right? So I think that this is just, they didn't come up with the right solution. But at the same time, even at the end, they didn't want to, they could have just beamed him into space. They could have vented the ship, but she's like, no, let's stun them because they're Starfleet. Like that's what I want to see from my Starfleet characters. I want them to make decisions that would seem almost stupid to 21st century humans who are ready to kill each other. But I like the fact they're like, screw it. We've got plenty of ships, just get rid of the ship. We don't want to kill this new life form. But then
another planet gets this invasive species.
Yeah. But the Tribbles land the ship. How much food? It does also physically, like from a biophysical perspective, it doesn't make any sense. How much food is on the ship? So, like the Tribbles can't replicate beyond what they can eat, right? There's more biomass.
That was the whole thing in the trouble with Tribbles is that they're eating the grain.
Yeah, right. It was full of grain. Whereas this ship might have had a bunch of grain on it, but by the time they leave the ship, it's clear that there is more biomass just in terms of Tribble on this ship than there ever was in food stores. So yeah. I think they have to eat to give birth. That's what we find out in, The Trouble with Tribbles. But whatever, nitpick. I mean, that's why I thought like
I was going to say maybe this is like a different strain. Like so this like is a much faster breeding, more aggressive Tribble than the ones we actually see.
So we should talk about that. The impression that I got from the text was they were very slow breeding. He did something to them. Now they breed fast. So did we get is this the midichlorians of Tribbles? Did we get the origin of Tribbles?
I don't know. I wanna give them as much wiggle room with the canon as they need. I don't have a problem with them it's roomy, it's Star Trek, it's always been like that.
Yeah.
But then why be so specific with your short treks?
Yeah, this might be the...
No one's really asking, nobody was really I need to know how Tribbles came into existence.
That's true, but this could be the answer to what I was saying before, which is they looked at a pre-existing, element in that universe, Tribbles, and said, we never find out where the Tribbles came from, so let's do that. And my question is...
and everyone's favorite episode.
Right. But my thing is yeah, but what else is going on? I can't believe that you got H. John Benjamin, and all he does is just go, I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do anything really all that funny. If this wasn't about Tribbles and it was just about, even in Starfleet, there is that guy in the office. Do you know what I mean? There's that coworker. There's that guy that you just like, oh my God, I know we live in like a utopia where everything is free, but I'd like to shoot this guy out of the torpedo tube, you know? And I mean, that's all implied. I mean, that's what we're supposed to get. Yeah. But instead, it's a lot of great like prop and effects work, like with the Tribbles. It's funny, but it's terrifying. I love that scene where the woman's like being crushed into the ceiling.
Oh my God, I did not know how to feel.
Yeah. But then I would have taken like one of that separate short trek, and then I would have taken like, just give me H. John Benjamin being a bad boss or a bad coworker.
Yeah, because he is so. I mean, I've only really heard. I haven't seen him. I've only heard him in Bob's Burgers. But like, even in Bob's Burgers, he has lines. Like every time he says, "Oh my God," in Bob's Burgers, I absolutely lose it because he's so good at like, I don't even know, like conveying emotion. I mean, like, which, you know, a voice actor, whatever. But you're right. Like the funniest moments with him in this episode aren't even really like laugh out loud moments. Like the funniest moments is like when he's having that back and forth with the captain where he's like, but the conversation's not over because I keep talking, and it's still not even really that funny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have to admit that was good. Yeah. And having the, taking like 2.5, 3 minutes out of your 12-minute short track and just, giving it to him to do a scene like that. And she's just like, no, it is over because now it's over. So you're going to go. It's like, no, we're still talking. Yeah. That was pretty good, I guess. I liked, just going down the list here, I liked the McGee class. I liked the USS Cabot. I thought that was a neat ship. It seems like every, the Enterprise is big and has 2 nacelles, and then we can kind of play with that. And then you can get smaller ships like the Nebula, which is a saucer with, no legs. The nacelles are just squished on there. The Oberth has 1 nacelle. This is like, the nacelles or the engines are just kind of part. It's just like a flying saucer. I thought that was neat. I want to see more of that. Assuming they don't decommission the entire run after the Tribble problem. But and, I also like the idea of, we don't get too deep into it. I can't remember. I'm sure if I looked on, I don't know, the internet, I could tell if John Benjamin had a rank. But I like learning more about the structure of Starfleet. Because remember, they're a military organization nominally, but they're also a space and exploration and science thing. So you would have, we've got a lieutenant, I believe, in the form of Lucero, who becomes basically the captain or commanding officer of this ship. She would have a ton of people who are just civilian contractors and scientists, right? Like, so you could have...
You would think.
Yeah, so you could have like a dozen people who are like Starfleet Academy or Starfleet enlisted that run the ship, and then they are just... it's like the space shuttle. We have like the command crew, but then you have civilian scientists that go up there too. So that would make a little more sense. I know he's incredibly antisocial. I don't know how he got through the behavioral screening of Starfleet Academy,
honestly.
But it would make more sense if he was just a really brilliant, biologist or protein specialist that people put up with because they just need his smarts. But then he's confronted with like having to take orders and having to, basically obey a commanding officer, and I've seen people like this where they just like sort of fight back over every little thing, to feel like they've got control in a situation. Plus he wants to eat them Tribbles.
That's what I was gonna say is I'm kind of on his side. Like that's kind of a smart, I mean obviously he went overboard, but I'm kind of like, and this is like, I'm a vegetarian, but if you have...
So are people in Starfleet, aren't? Well, maybe in the 23rd century, I guess. Like Kirk eats a steak, but later on, Riker's like, oh, we don't eat that.
Just like if you have a civilization, a people that need a new food source in order to survive, and you have this thing that doesn't really have a brain. And like he said, just kind of, died when it fell off his desk.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, feel the meat on these. Yeah. Also, interesting musical choices abound with Johnny Appleseed by Bing Crosby playing over the montage of the tribbles going everywhere.
They're making some artistic choices.
They certainly are, yes. So did Edward in the case of modifying the DNA of the tribbles with human DNA. So he added his own DNA. So now several questions here. First of all, if you eat a tribble, are you committing cannibalism in some way? Also, if this is the strain of tribbles that goes on to harry the Klingon Empire, to appear in different parts of the Star Trek universe, like the Trouble with Tribbles, do these all carry the DNA of Edward Larkin?
They would have to. He's still alive. That's what the captain should have
We
said.
don't see him die.
She should have been like, he lives on through his work that also destroyed my ship.
He was an idiot. Yeah, right. Hopefully she is. I was really glad to see Rosa Salazar in this. I really do like her a lot, and
she's good.
she's censured, but maybe she keeps her job, and so maybe we'll see her again in the future.
We can only hope.
I think we agree that the last round of short treks was designed to expand the world of Star Trek, but also to kind of cue us up for things that were going to happen in Discovery Season 2. Mm-hmm. I don't see that happening so far. Unless, I don't know what. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've got a lot planned for Season 3, but it seems like these are more just pushing at the walls of the Discovery world so far.
Well, and here's what I mean. It feels like they're trying to give us like fan service, but they don't know what we want.
Interesting.
Like, they're like, oh, the people love the tribbles. Give them the tribbles. And we're all kind of like, that was cute, but why?
You know who's funny? H. John Benjamin.
Get him. Get him and the guys from Portlandia. It'll be great.
Right. Yeah, right.
And like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be mean, but the last short tracks, at first I was like, oh, these are just to like keep us happy. These are to keep the people happy. They can crank out these 50-minute things. It's great. And then they were these fantastic like short films that like improved the like character development within the show, like, and meant so much, and like came by the end of the season, like came back in so many different ways. Yeah. And these just kind of feel like the last time we did short treks, everyone loved them. So let's keep going.
Let's do some more.
Put out some more.
To be honest, I think that this is kind of what I originally expected that they would be. When they announced them, I thought that they would be something like this. Then, the first season of them, especially one like, I got to give props to one like to Calypso, which wasn't even my favorite, but I felt like was the perfect idea of what I thought this could or should be, which is a short film set in the Star Wars. I don't know what's wrong with me in Star Wars today. Star Trek universe. And now season 2, we're not really getting that. We're getting these kind of definitely whimsical kind of looks at the corners of our universe. Do you think that season 2 of Short Treks, brought to you by the Pike Show that we really want to make? So here's Pike, here's Spock, here's
except he's not even. He's been in it,
and he gets top billing. That's a good agent too. He gets top billing. Right? And all he does is just go, get out of here. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, well, the enigma of short treks continues to confuse us, but I guess we'll keep coming back to see them. That's it for our show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTpod for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Enterprising Individuals, our main show, and Discoverage, this show, are coming out. You can email us at eistpod@gmail.com. When we are live, or even when we're not live, you can always tweet to us on this show by using the hashtag Discoverage. While you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show. Give us a rating and a review if you think of it, because it really helps us out. And if you really want to support the show, stop by our Patreon page at patreon.com/EISGpod. And as always, if you really like the show, tell a friend. I think that's pretty much it for this week. Did you have anything specific that you wanted to plug or talk about?
No, well, Generations Geek has
Well,
its
of
own
course.
separate feed now. Most places, almost everywhere that you listen to podcasts. So
Okay.
you can search us now separately from our network. So it's just Generations Geek. And we would love some, reviews, some stars on Apple Podcasts especially. So check it out.
Excellent. I wanted to mention that coming up on Enterprising Individuals this week, should be released tonight or early tomorrow. I've got a show with Jen Dahlman of the podcast Rosemary's Ladies. We were talking about Trek law, about crime and punishment, basically, in the world of Star Trek. Jen is a paralegal, has a law degree, and so we're talking about that kind of stuff. And then next week on the show, I'm talking about, like I mentioned before, The Traveler, and the TNG episode, where No One Has Gone Before, with fantasy author Catherine Valenti will be on that show. So tune in for that next week. And that is pretty much it for us at this point. We have to talk about, see, God, we're so rusty. Got to talk about next week.
Yes.
Next show, we'll be back on or around November 14th when Ask Not, the third of this season's Short Treks, is out. That is the one that is featuring Christopher Pike.
Thank God.
Thank God. It's about time. I
just know Anson's going to do a good job, so I'm ready.
Yeah. Anson. Oh, you guys are on first name basis, right? I got it.
Oh, yeah, we're best friends.
Okay. Well, that's what's coming up. So join us on or around that time for our short trek. That's it for us. Thanks for listening, and we are signing off. This is Aaron Faella saying live long and prosper.